listener production.
Hey, it's Antoinette Lattouf. This is the Weekend Briefing, where I hit pause on the headlines and I get to zoom in on someone fascinating and find out what they're up to. Today's guest is Gwilym Lee, and he's a Welshman who grew up in Birmingham, who once had to grapple with the childhood taunt, the Pretender. You might know him as Queen guitarist Brian May in Bohemian Rhapsody, or maybe from historical dramas like The Great. Now he's starring in Top End Bub alongside Aussie Miranda Tapsell, who also co-wrote the show. So this is set in the Northern Territory, and we talk about what he learned about First Nations culture, community and art. And later in the show, it is the weekend list, and that is when Helen Smith, my producer extraordinaire, joins me to unpack all of the things we've been up to. And we give you some tips on what to watch, see, eat, do, listen to, everything in between. You won't want to miss that. But first, here is my chat with Gwilym Lee. Gwilym Lee, welcome to the Weekend Briefing.
Hello, thanks for having me.
I want to start at the beginning so that people get to know your origins, because you are proudly Welsh.
Yeah.
And as I understand, your friends at school gave you, I think, the kind of mean nickname of a plastic Welshman. Was it mean, or was it said with affection? And also explain what that means to an Australian audience. What a plastic Welshman is. And I'm also sorry if that brings up some trauma, some early trauma. Yeah, it's
very triggering. It's like a phony Welshman, because I was born in Bristol, grew up in Birmingham in the Midlands, but to Welsh parents. So I've always thought of myself as being, Welsh by heritage and upbringing. But those horrible, cruel people kind of thought it was just that I'm inauthentic, like a proper Welshman,
a fake Welshman,
a plastic Welshman.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you identify as now? Like still a proud Welshman, or is
I've really kind of embraced my brumminess a bit more, actually.
Well, I don't know what that means. From Birmingham.
From Birmingham.
Yeah,
someone
right.
Who's from Birmingham. So I guess I never really knew where I was from, because although I grew up most of my life in Birmingham for about 17 years. It didn't feel like home necessarily, because I wasn't born there, and I don't know, our roots weren't there necessarily. So it didn't feel like home until I've looked back at it, and I look back at my time there with fondness, and I've got a bit of a Brummie accent, and all my friends from Birmingham. My parents still live in Birmingham. My sister lives in Birmingham, so I've got these connections there. So I suppose it's more looking back at like my childhood now. I'm kind of proud of that connection.
Isn't it funny how that happens? You look back and often you're trying to, I don't know why, but distance yourself. I mean, I know Birmingham was a bit working class. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it is. It is parts of, it is working class. But I suppose it was because I was always trying to prove that I was Welsh. I was always trying to define my identity.
Yeah. And
so to acknowledge my connections to Birmingham would be denying my Welsh roots in some ways. So I've realised that was just all a bit meaningless, really. And actually, we're all just a kind of collection of everywhere we're from, and all that kind of stuff. And that's fine. That's okay. It doesn't make me less Welsh. It doesn't make me.
It doesn't make you a plastic Welshman.
Well, no. Exactly.
Okay, and so in those years at Birmingham, you were drawn to the stage. As I understand, you got your first Shakespeare role at 16.
Yeah.
Tell us about that and what it was.
Yeah, so I always loved doing acting and all things drama as a hobby, really. And so that would be the school play and all that kind of thing. And then when I was about 12, we had a local drama group called the Central Television Workshop. They came to visit our school and a number of schools in the area to audition kids for a TV program, like a kids' TV program. I can't even remember what it was called. And I didn't get the part, but I got very close, down to the last two. Story of my life. Still happens.
Yeah.
And but as a consequence, the director of the television workshop invited me to come and join the Central Television Workshop, which is a great privilege because you usually have to go through quite a thorough audition process to do that. But he kind of saw what I'd done with that TV audition and invited me along. And it was great. It was like a kind of very loose training of young actors, but also local production companies and theatre companies would occasionally use the workshop as a source of casting young talent in their productions. And so when I was, about 15, I suppose, the RSC, the Royal Shakespeare Company, came and auditioned some people from our workshop to appear in Richard III, because Stratford was only about 45 minutes down the road from us, where the RSC is based. So they auditioned a load of us, and I got the part of one of the young princes in the Tower in Richard III with Robert Lindsay playing.
That's huge.
Richard III. It was amazing.
At 16.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. At that point, I had done like a TV show, like a kids' TV show, like a couple of summers before, I think. But to me, that was just like, it was a bit of a jolly and a bit of an adventure. It was like time out of school and, you know, doing some filming in the countryside, and it was fun. But I didn't think of it as anything serious or a potential career choice. But doing theatre for some reason felt more, I don't know, it felt more relatable to me and more attainable and achievable as a career. So yeah.
So was it at that point?
It was a turning point. That was the turning point for me, because that was when I thought, oh, this is actually something I can do. And I think it was partly I was 15, 16, and some of the younger actors in the company were kind of straight out of drama school in their 20s, and it felt they weren't too far away from me in their experience, and I could see the path to get in there. And it's something about theatre just seemed a bit more, I don't know, that sense of belonging to a company. It's just a bunch of actors. There's no crew. There's no nothing. It's just you. And that sense of belonging, I suppose, is something that really appealed.
So your parents were obviously supportive from what I've seen, but they also wanted you to have a backup plan and go and study.
Indeed.
And then your response was, it's okay, guys. I'm going to be employable. I'm going to go study literature.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Rest assured, everybody.
Yeah, fine.
I'm going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I did. I went to university. I did English literature and cultural criticism at Cardiff University, and I did that for 3 years. And then I went to drama school straight after that for 3 years. So 6 years of higher education at university with all the costs associated. I could have been a doctor in that time. Right. I could have been an architect. I could have got a proper job.
Yeah, that's right.
But I became an overqualified actor. So yeah, kind of pointless in many ways. But actually it was great advice, because, you know, you don't want to put all your eggs into one basket. And
so you just put your eggs in a lot of poorly paid baskets. Yeah.
Nondescript, vague, abstract humanitarian, kind of humanitarian degree. But yeah.
And so theatre became home turf for quite a while. There's King Lear, Othello, Hamlet. Which role did you enjoy the most?
Well, they were all brilliant in their own right, really. I mean, Hamlet was fantastic because it was a wonderful production that we took to the West End. Jude Law was playing Hamlet, and we then took it to Denmark, to Elsinore Castle, where Hamlet is set, and we played in front of the Prince of Denmark, the real life Prince of Denmark.
The one who married our Mary. Is that the Prince of Denmark who married the Australian? I'm just checking with my producer. Didn't the Prince of Denmark marry Mary? He met her at a pub in Sydney, if I'm correct.
Really? I'm not aware of that royal gossip.
That is the most important information about the Danish royal family, is that he was which is the most unlikely story, that you go out to a pub in Sydney and you meet
a prince.
You meet a prince.
Wow.
And you marry him. Yep, that's correct. I'm getting the thumbs up. I've got
there
all
you
my.
go.
Yeah, so that's a bit of royal gossip for you. Proceed.
That hasn't happened to me while I've been out in bars in Sydney, and maybe I don't go out enough. But yeah, so we went to Denmark for a week, and then we went to Broadway, and we did a run on Broadway, which was just, I'd never been to America by that point, let alone.
Gosh.
And my first experience of being in America was being in New York with a show that turned out to be a hit, and it was wonderful. But I think, honestly, in terms of the work, I was very proud of our work in King Lear. Derek Jacobi was playing King Lear, and he's one of our great actors. He's like one of the theatrical establishment, one of the British greats. And obviously King Lear is a kind of seminal moment in anyone's career to have the opportunity to play that character. And he's played every Shakespearean role you can imagine. And so this was his King Lear. And not only was it his King Lear, but he was so incredible in it. So it felt like a real privilege to be a part of that it felt like being a part of like British theatre history in a way, to be involved with that. And Edgar's an incredible role. And again, we did that in London, and we took that to New York as well. So yeah, I was very proud to have been part of that. But I'm lucky. I've had lots of variety in my career. So every job
so much variety,
offered a challenge and offered something else.
Which we're going to unpack the various work you've done on stage and screen, and then also here in the Red Centre in Australia. But before we do that, you have described acting as a social opportunity. Your earlier days of acting. Do you remember that?
Yeah. I think it was. That's why I first got into it. It's like, it was, an opportunity to meet people and I went to a boys' school.
Well, I think it was in the context of picking up women or girls.
I was too young to be picking up women, but certainly to
talk to them,
meet the other sex, and to try and have conversations without, blushing and hiding underneath a table or something. But it was definitely a social opportunity, and it, I think that's what's really appealed to me constantly throughout my life with acting, and my connection with it has been the social side of it, and that sense of like camaraderie and being a troupe of actors, and like being in a company of actors. It's like hugely appealing. And maybe it goes back to what we were saying before about like, I've always wanted to try to figure out my identity, who I am, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I've always felt at home with actors, really.
Well, the stage may have been your foundation, but then the screen obviously opened new opportunities and a new audience. You played Brian May in Bohemian Rhapsody. What was that like? That's I mean, that to me stood out as quite different to a lot of your other roles.
Oh, yeah. That was a wild trip. And that was amazing. It was totally unexpected, really. It came to me in a very strange way because they were putting together a read-through of the script as they had it. The project had existed in many different forms for about 10 years with different writers, different directors and all this kind of thing. And they were ready to go with Rami playing Freddie Mercury. And so they wanted to see the state of the script, see where they were at. So they got together a table read of the script, and the casting director was tasked with the challenge of trying to find a bunch of actors that would do a good job and were professional and would turn up on time and, put some work into it and all that kind of stuff. And she was a fan of mine, actually, from having watched Hamlet years ago. And she'd always remembered me, which is I always hold on to that and always kind of say it to younger actors that, like, things don't happen immediately, but casting directors, producers and all this kind of stuff, there is a network and they do remember you. And Hamlet had happened, I don't know, maybe 5 years before.
But it also seems to be like a strange connection, like Shakespeare on stage to rock god on a stage.
Yeah, it totally. But her loyalty to me remained. And so she brought me in and she said, look, you're not on the radar of these producers. You haven't done any films. This is not, you're not like on their list necessarily, but I like you and, I think you're good. So prepare for this read through. Do some research, figure out his mannerisms and his vocal quality, all that kind of stuff, and bring it into the read-through. And I did. I kind of sat next to Rami as it happened, and I kind of gave a performance as Brian May in this read-through. And Rami was like, oh my God, you sound exactly like him. I can't believe it. And they, on the basis of that, they brought me in for an audition and got the part. So it was really unexpected.
That was a good American accent. What's your Australian accent like?
Oh, mate. Probably quite bad.
Probably quite bad.
Probably quite bad as I'm proving.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's. You put me on the spot, but yeah.
Yeah, okay. I give you like a 6 out of 10. There's room for improvement.
Give it time. By the end, I'll warm up into it.
Warm up. Okay, very good.
I'll tune my ear in. Yeah.
So you've also obviously done some incredible work in Midsomer Murders, to Jamestown, to The Great. A lot of, do we call them period dramas, historical dramas? What do we?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Well, they're just like set in different times.
Yeah.
Did any of the projects actually teach you anything about survival of the times on set?
About survival of the period of history?
Yeah, of that period.
Certainly The Great. I mean, it was such a kind of anarchic, wild time that, and people, life was cheap. People would just be kind of got rid of in an instant. Right. And everyone's kind of living on instinct, and there is a real survival instinct. And a big part of that show was trying to present the idea of a court. And we've kind of like lost, we don't really know what that means, but like there are all these, aristocrats living in a huge palace amongst each other, knowing everyone else's business, knowing everything about each other, and just kind of like sharing the same corridors and constantly aware of each other and suspicious of each other in this kind of world of survival and dog eat dog and all that kind of thing. So that was a large part of it. I always thought it was a bit like being a student in a halls of residence. Do you know what I mean? That kind of thing where like anything goes and there's a wildness to it. But the fact that you could possibly lose your life at any second as well, which wasn't my experience of university. But yeah.
You also had, can I call it your Australian chapter or your top end franchise chapter?
Yeah.
Again, unlike any of your other roles, because your career has been so varied. What was it like filming in the Northern Territory? Because not only is that like unlike any of your roles, it's also unlike any other part of Australia.
Yeah, it's been a really surreal turn of events in my career that, I've ended up kind of carving out a bit of a life out here. And it started with the film in 2018. We shot the film and it was great. We were out in the Northern Territory. It was a road trip movie, essentially. So we were traveling around and filming in the most incredible parts of the world and parts of the Northern Territory that no one else would get access to because we were given permission to film on kind of, traditional lands, which was such a privilege. Yeah, something you never expect to do as a British actor. But to be brought into the embrace of like that community by Miranda and the makers of that film, first of all, was really, really, really special, and it meant a lot to me. And that film exists in its own right, and I thought that was that was it. We took it to Sundance, and it did really well there, and it kind of had a warm reception amongst audiences around the world. And you think that's the end of the story until I got a call about a year and a half ago from Miranda at first, and then from Rosemary Blight, who's our producer, saying Amazon are going to be kind of developing this into a TV spin-off series. And all of a sudden you're looking at the prospect of coming back here and continuing that story. So
just to get those listening up to speed, Miranda Tapsell is the writer and I believe director?
Writer and producer. And actor.
Yes, and the lead actress.
The only thing she didn't do was catering, I think. But she did everything else on that job.
Very talented First Nations actress and filmmaker. What I love about Northern Territory, which you probably came across, even their daily newspaper has front pages like no other. Like they'd be like the dog took a shit on the bog. Have you seen those kind of front pages? It's unlike anything else.
Yeah.
Also the fact that one of their tourism campaigns is, and I saw on your Instagram, see you in the NT.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, we drop and I think in polite British society, the C word is considered quite offensive.
Affection.
Okay, because here we just drop it like it's Tuesday.
I mean, it probably is offensive to most, but amongst my friends, I'd call it a term of endearment. Yeah.
Oh, it is? Okay,
the worse you speak about people, the more you care about them, I think.
Okay. All right, so that wasn't shocking to you at all, that part of the tourism campaign.
I mean, when something offers itself up like that, an opportunity, you can't say no.
Right.
It's like anyway, we'll carry on.
No, do tell.
Oh, no, I'm just getting more and more blue, but my mate is from Donegal in Ireland, and there's a village in Ireland called, I'm going to regret saying this instantly, there's a village in Ireland called Muff, and they've taken up
they've leaned into the Muff.
Yeah, as you would, right?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. I won't go any further on that.
So Top End Bub is available to watch on streaming. It's chaos wrapped in family drama. What can audiences expect? That's the same, but also, I guess, different from any of the earlier iterations of Top End.
So the story picks up 5 years down the line. The film was about the marriage and the romantic comedy of Ned and Lauren, these two characters, getting together and ultimately getting married. And this TV series picks up 5 years down the line where the couple are very happily living their lives as young professionals in the city in Adelaide. They've made a conscious decision to be a child-free couple. And then out of the blue, there's a phone call. Lauren gets a phone call to say that her cousin has died up in the Northern Territory.
I'm going to jump in here because we're going to play a little snippet of the trailer that helps finish that thought.
Oh, good.
Been a while since you two been back up here in Darwin.
Renelle left behind a daughter. She's Lauren's responsibility.
It's like a metaphorical thing, right?
Did I say metaphorical? It's tea we wait. They're same blood. That's what our mob do. We share the load.
How's it going?
Perfect. Yeah. We need to get our parenting together. Pronto. Sometimes you gotta sink before you swim.
And so you're obviously thrilled to share the load.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big ask.
Yeah,
It's a big ask. There's this whole kind of system of kinship in the Aboriginal community, and it's not some abstract relationship that she has with her cousin's daughter. It's like a bond and a tie and a blood connection, which means that they are bound to be up there and look after this child. So Lauren probably knows that more than this is all news to Ned's as a kind of outsider, a British guy kind of trying to get his head around these ancient concepts. So yeah, they're thrust into having to be parents of a 9-year-old child out of the blue, really. And that's the setup for the series. But the story is about family in a greater, in a wider context, in a wider sense, and what different forms family can take. And I think a big starting point for the story was that idea that it takes a village to raise a child, and it's a exploration of that, really. Lauren and Ned think that they're the sole parents because of this kinship connection, but in actual fact, there are uncles and aunties and cousins and grandparents, and that everyone chips in to kind of bring this family back together after this tragic loss.
The role you played, Ned, was essentially confused white guy in a First Nations mob. How much acting was there?
Yeah, I mean, it's very useful because I can kind of use my own experience of learning these things firsthand as a British actor coming into this community for the first time. And in actual fact, we had conversations during rehearsal process with Ursula Jovic, who plays Daffy, about the kinship system, and she was explaining it to me. It was total news to me, I'm ashamed to say. And we ended up just making notes in the rehearsal room of this conversation. We're like, this is the conversation that needs to happen on screen. We need to see this. And we did. We ended up putting that into that first episode. And there's countless times where that happens. And it's a useful device because the audience gets to see the world through my eyes in some ways. And I can ask the questions that they want to know the answers to, And maybe being British, it comes across less as a, willful ignorance. It's like it's accepted that maybe I don't know that much about it. Whereas, maybe if it had come from an Australian perspective, it's like, well, you should know that. It's like,
totally.
Yeah.
What did you learn about Tiwi or First Nations culture, outside of the film or the remit of the script?
So much. I mean, so much. Connection to land is the most obvious thing. And that idea of being on country is profound and beautiful. And, that was a important thing to learn as you're going around, that you're visitors to that part of the world that you're in. Is really important to us all to kind of pay respect to that and to do things in the proper, respectful way. And we had a brilliant producer in the shape of Libby Collins, who was a local Tiwi woman, who ensured that we looked after the community that we were kind of visiting and represented them in a true and faithful way in Tiwi, but also in Darwin as well. And as a consequence, we've got this beautiful background of community that aren't extras or background artists or anything. They're like the people that live there, and they're sharing their world with us. And you see that warmth and authenticity on screen, which is something really special. But the other thing, to go back to your question about what I learned, was that just that sense of like family, like a wider family.
Yeah.
You'd go up to Tiwi and go, oh, that's, and you'd be with Libby, and she'd be like, that's my sister, that's my sister. Sisters and brothers and aunties and uncles everywhere, and everyone is connected and invested and cares about each other. And there's so much kind of love and warmth in those communities. And for someone that lives in a city in London, I'm a father as well, and kind of like lost touch with that wider community and knowing who your neighbour is, and helping each other out, and we've become quite anonymous in a modern urban society. So to see that was something really special.
You mentioned that you were a father. I did have a look, as part of my job. I did do a little social media and Twitter deep dive. You keep your personal life quite personal as far as I can see. There's a whole bunch of film things. I get an insight that you like, is it cricket? and golf.
Yes.
Obviously, a conscious decision to keep personal and family life off socials.
Yeah, it's not their choice, really. I wouldn't want to impose that on them. My partner is quite a private person and she doesn't enjoy the limelight necessarily. So I'm trying to give her the right for anonymity and protect her. And certainly my son, he's 3 years older.
Yeah.
Like, even the idea of putting him on personal social media makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. So,
have you noted the shift? Because I have, that I guess, when social media, first became really popular, and if you had a public-facing role, your life was just presumed to be out there. And now that there are more people opting to keep that close to their chest.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you've got to set the boundaries right from the off.
Yeah.
And so I had Instagram years ago and I had a private account and I would share pictures of friends and family and all that kind of thing. And it was actually when I was doing Bohemian Rhapsody, the production while we were in development and or while we were rehearsing, were asking for social media handles. And I was like, well, I don't have one. And they said, well, it might be a good opportunity for you to start.
Yeah.
And so I did. I set up a professional Instagram account. And from that moment, I knew what my boundaries were going to be. It was going to be work really.
Yeah.
I'll share. Because I never get the opportunity to say it, but I'm so grateful for like the support I get on social media. And as a consequence, I want to share a little bit of myself with that audience. I think it's a great opportunity that social media allows us in that sense. But equally, I want to keep the professional boundary at the same time, that it's about work and about me and not about anyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've obviously done a lot of Shakespeare, Queen, The Outback. We didn't get a chance to dabble into, but you do voice character work for video games as well.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this is interesting. Like, I feel like all that is needed for your varied career portfolio is something like Strictly Come Dancing or I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here NT edition. Would you do reality television?
It's not really my bag because I'm an actor. I really don't see myself as a celebrity in any way, shape or form. And I kind of think they're celebrity programs in some way. And I don't really want to be a celebrity. So it's not a kind of avenue I'm really that interested in exploring.
Having said that, I'm going to be honest. I did see SAS Rogue Heroes and I thought that was, do you know the reality TV show SAS?
Yeah.
I thought that, I was like, oh, he has done reality television.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm like, no, that's actually,
that's a
that
TV
is not
show.
that's a TV
No, I know.
show.
I mean, to be honest, when there are certain celebrity programs that do appeal, and it would be those things that tap into something that I'm interested in
like
anyway.
What?
Well, that SAS thing would be quite cool because, like,
the actual SAS, not the TV show that you did.
Because the physicality of it, the training, all that kind of stuff.
Because you're a marathon runner and
yeah, and I love the outdoors and all that kind of stuff. Or like cookery shows. I'm not much of a baker, but I love cooking.
Yeah, okay.
Shows like that would be interesting, but again, it's like it's inviting this whole different scrutiny of your life and of your career in a way, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
Okay. Well, I think you've put it out there. You put it out there to the universe. You're open to SAS. You're open to some sort of cooking show. So let's see what the casting gods deliver.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's been wonderful chatting. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks very much. Nice chatting to you.
That's Gwilym Lee. You can watch Top End Bub on Amazon Prime. Okay, it is time. It's time for the weekend list. It's where I get to pick Helen's creative, sometimes wacky brain, find out what she's been up to, what she's recommending. I often take on those recommendations. Maybe you do too. Sometimes I just sit here with a really judgy face. Helen, I do that sometimes. Hopefully that won't be this week. What have you got?
You're definitely going to judge this.
Okay.
You actually introed that very well because this is bloody weird. It's very wacky and bizarre.
Okay.
Have you heard of Mr. Fantasy?
No, it sounds like a sex tape.
It does, but it's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay.
It's all right.
Okay.
So Mr. Fantasy is this viral character that's been kind of blowing up on TikTok, right? And this line from Forbes article explains it pretty well. Ready? A disco sleaze aesthetic, a 60s bob, and a deliberately absurd gapped tooth grin. I'm just painting a picture of this guy.
Okay.
This is this guy.
Okay.
And Mr. Fantasy has released a self-titled single that has actually now entered Spotify's Viral 50 chart in both the US and is globally at number 1. So this is kind of...
Is Mr. Fantasy an AI person?
Mr. Fantasy's real and he's
Okay.
New Zealand.
Okay, Kiwi.
So
okay.
he's a Kiwi guy and he's actually very, very famous. And people were trying to discover, who the heck is this guy? He looks like this person. He looks like this person. So Mr. Fantasy is KJ Apper and he's best known for starring in Riverdale.
Right.
So that massive Netflix series that went on for way too long. But he's huge and he's created this alter ego that's blowing up online.
Who writes music?
Yes. He's collabed with this French producer and they've put this song out. The music video is great. I'm going to pop it in the show notes. It's crazy. It's just hilarious. It's fun. It's bizarre and fun.
Okay.
But there's a theory that the reason why he's done this is because, well, you know how it's hard for actors to pivot into music and they're always thought of as the actor or playing that role. And Riverdale, oh my God, like it's very hard for him to distance himself from that character.
Okay.
So the theory that was running around is that he's potentially doing this to launch music that's pretty good and not be known as the guy from Riverdale. The actor, the alter ego.
Okay.
It's bizarre, hilarious, and the videos he posts, he's got a British accent as well. It's so weird, but it's so much fun. I'll post all the links in the show notes to his TikTok, to the music video, and I want to know what you guys think. Send us your thoughts.
Okay.
It's
I'm
just
going to check it out.
It's a bit of fun.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's distracting. Not so much judgment from me. You underestimated me this week, but you may raise your eyebrows at this, and so may nutritionists, as I suggest a Musashi protein bar.
Okay.
Now, I'm obsessed with Musashi protein bars.
Yeah.
And you can just buy them from any supermarket. What I like about them when you're trying to, especially after a gym workout or I'm trying to up my protein, I find I don't eat enough protein. On the front of the bar, you find out like it's got 20 grams of protein or 40 grams of protein, plus how much sugar it has. But after a big weights workout, you need quite a bit of protein. And what a lot of people end up doing is like not eating enough and then doing lots of working out. Not only get you exhausted, it's actually not good for muscle and it eats in other parts of your body. I mean, I don't know if this is the correct terminology, but I just know you need to eat enough protein for balance and for muscle repair and all the things. I usually wait till they're on sale. I buy a whole bunch. My favorite flavor is the mint chocolate flavor. So they're actually quite tasty. And I have them after workouts or before workouts and I always snack on them. So Musashi, Musashi. And I did like show them to a friend of mine who's a personal trainer. I was like, please tell me, is this awful? Am I doing a terrible thing? And then he had a look at the sugar and all that. He's like, no, it's all very well communicated. To supplement like a balanced diet or just to boost, to get an extra bit of protein, which is often what I struggle to eat enough of. It's a good thing. So that's good. That'll be in the show notes. Musashi protein bars.
It's hard to find a good protein bar.
Yeah.
My next recommendation is also food. So we do this thing at Listener and it's called the annual potato salad competition.
I saw a picture of that.
I won.
Yes.
It was actually not planned, but I whipped up my potato salad. It was something I recommended the other week.
I thought you recommended.
Correct. The one that you gave me a lot of judgment on.
Yeah.
The smashed potato gems.
I was like, so the shitty hash browns.
Yeah. Hey, they won. Everyone loved them. They're a crowd pleaser.
So you can't recommend them again?
No, I'm not recommending that.
Okay.
I'm recommending, though, doing a potato salad competition with your friends. Because it's seriously so much fun. It's so easy. It's not that expensive.
No.
So if you have a dinner party, like if you just need an excuse to get everyone around, have a potato salad competition. You can do vegetarian ones. You can do meat ones. You can do dairy-free. You can do vegan. And it's cheap. It's potatoes and you can put your own little twist on it and make it a bit of fun.
Actually, I like that idea because it forces you to be creative. Because I look at potatoes and I'm like, unless you are deep fried and lacquered in chicken salt, I am not interested in new potato.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess. But I mean, it's just so fun. And it's giving people one thing they have to focus on. They don't have to think about anything else. They don't have to be like, oh my God, I got to bring a side or this or that or whatever. It's just a potato salad, but you can do your own twist. You can even do the potato gems.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
You must be so happy and smug that your potato gems.
I made them in the sandwich press in the kitchen.
Oh my God. So highbrow, master chef
so
here.
highbrow.
Okay, so my final recommendation is Zeteo News. It's an independent media outlet started by Mehdi Hassan, who was a talk show host in the US, even though, not a talk show, like a journalist interview host, even though he's British. His commentary is excellent. I subscribe to his newsletter. He's got so many wonderful contributors. Obviously, a lot of it is US politics. A lot's US politics, Middle East politics. I just love how brave, how bold, and I just think such an important voice, particularly given what we're seeing in the US and the overreach of Trump meddling into networks or outlets or talk show hosts who he doesn't like.
Yeah.
But Mehdi, because he is independent and is no longer connected to a network for much the same reasons as many of these others. And the latest casualty is Jimmy Kimmel. Yes, that is kind of satire, comedy, but there's also political commentary in there. Never been more important to get good critique, analysis, and news out of the United States. So Zeteo News, if you don't already follow them, they will be in the show notes.
Great. And that's very topical after what we've seen in the UK this week with Trump being there and all of the protests on the back of that.
Yeah, and Elon Musk all of a sudden thinking he should have a whole lot of commentary and reach into UK politics. It's wild. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. We also are keen for your recommendations for the weekend lists. There are some weeks where Helen and I are like, we're not sure what to recommend. You know, sometimes we run out of ideas, and we love to hear yours and to try them, and we will share our thoughts, hopefully without that much judgment. So do pop into our DMs, slide into our DMs, whatever the phrase is of the day on Instagram. That's the best way to reach us. And if you have a moment, I would love to hear your thoughts on this chat with Gwilym Lee. Leave 5 stars. Why not? Be generous. That is it for me for another week. But on Monday, the team is back in your headphones with the headlines and a fascinating deep dive. Be kind to one another. Catch you soon.